I just want to show of hands very quickly. How many people do think that the press, for the most part, is biased, one way or the other? Almost unanimously. Yeah, I just want to make this point before I turn it back to you, Robert. The one thing that we pride ourselves on, and I said this at the very beginning at CN8, is that you should never know what our position is. You should never know which candidate any one of us on the air is favoring. I pride myself on that objectivity. My first election was in 1976 with Jerry Brown when he was running for the presidency. And we were taught in school at that time, and in a political family where I grew up, that reporters should be objective. You should not know who the reporter is rooting for. And that's one thing that we've always tried to insert into CN8, into all of our coverage. I can say it for Larry's show and for Robert's, for mine, Art Fennell. You should never be able to tell what any of us are thinking, because we try to present a fair and objective presentation of the issues and of the candidates. And I think that really makes us stand out. I'm just kind of tooting our own horn for a little second, because I really think that makes us stand out among all of the cable channels, because you can pretty much turn on and tell who's saying. Anybody have any doubt where Bill O'Reilly stands? I don't think so. But if you turn on and you watch Robert or you watch me, you should not know where we stand on an election. And Robert, I think you'll agree on that.
I agree. And just two very quick things. One, out of the 36,000 members of the press, quote unquote, and I use that term liberally, that were at the Democratic and Republican conventions, roughly about 15,000 of those quote unquote journalists had cameras the size of our hand. And Larry and I were one of those individuals. And what's also very interesting about those journalists is that they have as long as they have an internet connection, they can follow a story almost instantly. And to go back to Terry's point,
and no editor.
To go back to Terry's point is to constantly being in competition to file something. Thus, in the process, you lower your journalistic standards. And I remember having this conversation back in 2000 when the whole blog situation was just that. It was just a situation that we had no idea how to deal with. Are these individuals really journalists? Are they true bona fide journalists? And do they, in fact, not only have editors, but do they have a sense of standards and ethics that traditional journalists abide by? In closing, I call my neighborhood in Washington, D.C. DuPont Circle 90210. And the reason why I say that is because, for whatever reason, there's a very high concentration of journalists that I call neighbors. And Monday through Friday, when I'm leaving to go to our studio on Capitol Hill, I see all of my friends, rushing to the metro to go to the airport. And I asked them, hey, blah, 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 hey, I won't mention any names, but many of them are very, very famous. And I'm saying, where are you going? Oh, I got to go to the airport because I got to meet Obama in Nashville, or I got to meet McCain in Arizona, whatever the case may be. And 99.9% of the time, they have a I love Hillary sticker, or they have a I miss Hillary button, or they may have, change for an 08, or whatever the case may be. And so clearly they're on their own time. Clearly they can wear whatever they want to wear, but obviously they do have their own biases, as we all do. But as to Lynn's point, the challenge is to keep that to yourself and just to present the facts.
Yeah, Larry, does that change at all, though, now? I mean, when you were coming up and throughout your entire career, you were an objective journalist. You may have your own private opinion, but you, on the air, are objective. We don't see that anymore.
You have the Congress of the United States, John McCain, and Bill Clinton to blame for that. And I'll explain to you how it started. In 1996, the Congress deregulated broadcasting, okay? Now that meant that all these stations, there was no equal time provision. So when you watch Lynn's show, you're getting it pretty well down the middle. You might have a different opinion about what somebody says, but you're getting all points of view. Now you have right-wing radio, okay? In the prior to deregulation days, right-wing radio with some of its racist taints, and left-wing radio too, which can be just as bad, is allowed to go on the air. No, but you don't have to present the other point of view. There's no requirement that the public's airwaves requires another point of view. You have Fox and MSNBC, and Fox and MSNBC are now touted as right-wing or left-wing networks. You have CNN, which is pretty well down the middle. You have CN8, which is everybody's viewpoint coming at you in different directions. So that's the first thing. The second thing is deregulation also gave this tremendous freedom, and maybe you think it should happen, to people like O'Reilly and other demagogues in American television who can go on, and I'll never forget, and Lynn would never do this, and I don't think I would. Somebody asked me about my John Lennon book, and they called me from the O'Reilly show, and they said two questions. Is there any racism in the book? and is there any sex? I said, well, there's plenty of sex, but there's no racism. And they said, well, we're not interested. This is what they wanted, okay? It's disgusting. And this is why all of you, and I'm shocked that all of you raised your hand to say that the press is biased, because some of us are, but we all get painted with a broad brush, and it irritates me.